And next to Israel, which has begun to repatriate some of the tens of thousands of citizens who have been stranded abroad since the start of the conflict on Friday.
I decided to come back because the family is here and I belong here.
And this is home. There's no other place.
They are returning home from Cyprus on special permission El Al flights, part of a phased airlift operation. About 1,000 other Israelis are set to fly to Haifa and to Tel Aviv today from Athens, Rome, Paris, and other European cities. Israel's airspace has remained closed since Iran began its retaliation last week. The Israeli military says dozens of Iranian hypersonic missiles were launched toward Israel just after midnight local time. Chris Brown is part of our CBC News coverage team now in Israel, and he's live with us from Jerusalem. Chris, so good to see you at this critical time. It is day 6 of the war. As you look at things, where are we sort of really starting this day? What do the developments point to?
Well, Israel is continuing to hit key targets in Iran, Heather. In this case, a manufacturing plant that made centrifuges for the nuclear industry, also manufacturing plants that made missiles as well. Iran, on the other hand, continues to fire rounds of its ballistic missiles at cities here, although at a much slower tempo, a much slower pace, not as many missiles. Now, why is that? It could be that perhaps Israel has done a pretty good job at taking out its missile launching capabilities. It might be that Iran is trying to pace itself, planning rather for a much longer war of attrition. It might also be that they're thinking, well, if the United States does enter this, we might have to use these missiles against them as well, so we better hang on to some of them. But it all seems to me, Heather, that we're heading into what could be a new phase of this this conflict as well. And the statement today by the supreme ruler in Iran, Ayatollah Khamenei, that he would not accept Donald Trump's demand to surrender. That's very significant. What it does is it basically throws the ball back to Donald Trump. So now he is going to have to ponder these huge decisions. Does he go in to try to finish this war that Benjamin Netanyahu started by using these bunker-busting bombs on these very deeply buried nuclear sites? Or does he leave it up to Benjamin Netanyahu to finish off the war that he started? We're very not clear at all on how Israel plans to do that if the Americans decide not to jump in.
You know, I was reading some analysis, Chris, for Benjamin Netanyahu. The goal is not regime change as much as it is regime destruction. What is the sense now of what the end game is here for both Israel and the United States?
Well, when you talk about regime destruction, I mean, that's exactly what we've seen Israel's strategy being over the last 18 months or so since Hamas attacked on October the 7th, taking out a lot of enemies that Israel has in its neighborhood, Hezbollah in Lebanon, Hamas in Gaza. So getting rid of Iran's regime would be in keeping with that kind of broad strategy that Netanyahu has talked about. In the last couple of days, he's spoken in English to Iranians, talking about the historical connections between Jewish and Persian people. And with every tactical success on the ground, it almost feels in some ways that this is more and more becoming Israel's objective. Why stop at eliminating just the nuclear program when you can get rid of the whole regime? With his surrender or else posting, Donald Trump is leaving that question kind of ambiguous. What there have not been indications of, though, is that many Iranians want to trade in their own despots for another group of leaders, possibly even picked by another country. Iranians, many of them do not like this regime, but they also don't like seeing Israel bomb their country and kill their people. So Trump's provocative comments may be more about ramping up the pressure, exerting more coercion on Iran's rulers, and then seeing what happens so that, they perhaps will abandon their nuclear program. But again, it's very hard to see that coercion actually paying off at this point.
Chris, really appreciate it and looking forward to the reporting out of the region. Chris Brown, part of the CBC News team now in Jerusalem.